with some amazing leaders in our network. We're going to sit down with leaders who are changing, impacting, and leading their industry. Today I'm joined with Smoke Wallin, YPO Pacific One. Smoke, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I've been in YPO since 2003. Was the Indiana chapter for many years, and recently relocated to Los Angeles and joined the new Pacific One integrated chapter, which we're real excited about.
Great. And I heard you made some company changes as well and starting to lead a new organization. Can you tell us a little bit about the vertical company?
Yeah, absolutely. Made company and industry changes. So after I sold my Beach Whiskey and American Harvest brands to my partners, my wife turned to me and said, you know, before you do another liquor deal, we really have to look at the cannabis space. And I said, you know, you're right. I know it's going to be a big space, but I didn't know anybody in it. So I spent about 6 months kind of researching the topic, you know, networking, and through YPO, actually met my current partners, Todd Kaplan and Courtney Doran, and a whole bunch of other YPOers involved as well.
Yeah, so much to talk about within this cannabis space. Could you just start out talking to us about maybe like what the government's had involved and what you've had to overcome with government issues?
Sure. So we are in a seed to sale business. So we're actually growing cannabis and hemp. We're processing it. We're putting it into brands and selling it to stores. And if it's there's a couple different things that have been happening. So the Farm Bill of 2018 just passed. The president signed into law, and what that has done is allowed hemp to be grown throughout the U.S. So hemp and CBD that's not grown from the version of cannabis that has THC in it is now the legal law of the land. So we're splitting the company into two. We're going to have Vertical Wellness, which I'm leading, which has all the hemp and CBD assets, and the original Vertical with all the cannabis assets will stay as it is. So the government's obviously very involved. The states have led the way. There's 33 states that have authorized some form of cannabis legalization. Canada obviously led the way as a whole country, going adult recreational legal last year, and many other countries are following suit. So it's a really exciting time. It's certainly in our lifetime, there's never been something like this happen. I'd say the last time something like this happened was the repeal of Prohibition in 1933 when alcohol prohibition was repealed. So it's very exciting, lots of moving pieces, and lots of startups.
Yeah, a lot going on. Could you tell us a little bit more about CBD and what it is, and maybe it's something that some of our viewers haven't heard a lot about?
Sure. So CBD stands for cannabidiol, which is the non-psychoactive component of cannabis. So THC is the one that gets you high, or if you think about getting stoned. CBD has all the pain relief, the anti-inflammatory, and we're really just getting started in terms of what all the health benefits are. We can't make a lot of health claims yet because there hasn't been a lot of studies, but I can certainly say that I've been using CBD for the last year, and I don't use Advil anymore. I sleep much better, and it's really an amazing piece of the plant, the cannabis plant, and we're real excited about it.
Great. How do you actually get the CBD product, and how do you administer it to yourself?
Right, so it's really a good question because you take the flower of the plant, the hemp plant, and you extract it, right? So you can extract it using ethanol or steam or lots of different methods. And once you have that oil, you can put it in different forms, and the form factors are diverse. So everything from tinctures and vape pens to food and beverages to topicals, and then all kinds of other derivative products. So it's really there's literally no end in sight in terms of the different forms, and we're experimenting with lots of forms and lots of brands in those different form factors.
So there's currently CBD on the market in places where people can get it?
There is, but you have to be careful. I mean, there's a lot of unregulated product out on the market that it doesn't always have what it says it has, so make sure you deal with a good company and make sure you do your research. So we're certainly coming out with brands. There's other good companies out there, and just make sure that it's a valid source because some of the stuff that's been out there in the past has been very suspect.
And is CBD still state by state here in the U.S.?
It is state by state. The Farm Bill legalized hemp across the country in terms of took it off the federal prohibition list. But each state has to submit their own plan to the ag department and how they're going to grow it, how they're going to handle it. So it's going to be a state-by-state process, not unlike alcohol in terms of regulatory framework. But and the FDA still has to weigh in on some of the products, but you know, we're confident that's all moving in the right direction.
Great. And can you kind of just talk us through how the banking's working and how you're getting a checking account and how you're doing day-to-day business?
Yeah, the interesting thing about joining an industry that's illegal at the federal level and legal at the state level is you've got issues. One of those issues is handling cash. So, you know, mostly what's happened is in the states that have legalized cannabis, the states have created or are using state chartered banks. So the federal banks won't touch it, but the state banks will. So it's a working system. It's not resolved yet, but I think that's one of the things that gets resolved here in the near term with the new Congress. And we actually think the whole cannabis side will be repealed, the prohibition will be repealed in the next 12 to 18 months overall.
Sounds like there's a lot going on here. Can you tell us what some of the biggest challenges you've had to face with starting a new industry?
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is I've done a lot of startups over the years, new brands, new companies, and they're always intense. They're always like all in, 7 days a week, 24/7, you're immersed in it. The difference here is that the whole industry is a startup. So we're dealing with startup companies, our customers are startups, our vendors are startups, everybody's a startup. So we're starting our own company in the midst of everybody else starting up, and then add to that, the government is a startup. They're learning how to regulate us. We're actually teaching the regulators what they should be looking for in many cases. So it's just the Wild West in many ways, but that's what makes it fun, I think.
Great. What about if our members are interested in investing? Or you hear a lot of different talk and a lot of different companies out there. Could you just walk us through maybe what we should look at if we're interested in investing in a whole new industry?
Sure. I mean, it's an exciting time, as I've described, and there is a lot of interest, and there's a lot of YPOs already investing. And I would say, first and foremost, it's about the people who you invest in and making sure you know who they are. And when I got in the industry, I was like, I had all these meetings, and I said to Todd, I said, that guy was a criminal. He was making an illegal product. He was selling it on the street, and I'm like, he was an absolute just a criminal. And he looked at me and said, yeah, you're going to meet a lot of those. And I realized that in the alcohol business, I was dealing with the grandkids of the criminals, and now I'm dealing with the first generation one. And that's a joke for all my alcohol friends. The reality is that there's a lot of folks in the space and jumping into it who don't have any business being in business. So it's about people first. But the time is right. This is the moment it's the arbitrage between when the federal repeal happens and today is going to be the time that great wealth is created. So I would use YPO actually as a resource. That's how I got into the business I'm in. There's at least two groups that are cannabis related on the network. So go there, join those groups, post on the boards, meet the other people that are investing in the space, and network. That's the best way to find opportunities, because a lot of YPOs are doing a lot of good stuff.
Good. And what would be the main 1 or 2 points that you'd like our people watching today to know about the cannabis and the CBD industry?
Well, I think I said it. I mean, it's really about growth, right? And we're all, in all our businesses, we always look for opportunities, and I know many of us are in businesses that are, static or growing very small, incremental amounts. And we just heard from Walter Robb, the co-CEO of Whole Foods, about if you're growing 5%, it's pretty easy to manage it. If you're growing 1%, it's pretty hard to keep your costs in line. And this is a space that is growing, exponentially, right? It's massive and going to get more massive. So that's the main message, is that it's just the time is right. And again, I'll bring it back to YPO, the power of YPO. The reason I'm in this business, the reason I'm in this space, is because of YPO, and the people I'm working with are because of YPO, and it's a powerful network. So obviously a commercial for YPO, but it works.
Good. Well, thanks for your time and all your insight and giving us more information about a brand new industry.
Yeah, thanks for having me.